How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day. So let's talk Bengals end of season now. And then I got the Browns still. See Browns probably won't play a lot of the starters. Bengals end of the season, not a lot to play for. We'll see what happens there. But overall, I think we needed to see what we needed to see out of Zach Taylor's season to say that let's give him a year-end grade. And we've been on a roller coaster with Zach Taylor, probably his entire coaching career. But we try to do our best to be objective about it. It's like, there's some people that say that he could do no wrong. There's some people that say, there's a lot of fans like, and hey, fan the way you want to fan. There's a lot of fans that I don't think it matters who your coach. You could have Bill Belichick. You could have Kyle Shanahan. It doesn't matter. They always seem to find a reason to not like the coach. It's the same. It's just how it is. It is what it is. But we talked about it. We try to do our best to say, hey, when he's making a mistake, when he's doing that, you got to point it out. But you got to look at the good things he's done, the great things he's done for this organization, a position he's put this organization in since becoming a coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. And we just kind of want to break down, just this particular season, what Zach Taylor has done for this franchise. I mean, what glares the most. Without question, he was on the hot seat. There was some turmoil because you continue to start the season slow. You continue to have these inconsistent games. And all of a sudden, your franchise quarterback goes down and you say, okay, here's all the noise. Here's all the fans calling for this guy's head. He's on the hot seat. Well, how's this team respond? Because I tell you what, an average to below average coach in that situation, the team probably crumbles. The team probably doesn't believe. Not especially when you start out losing. You lose the game to the Ravens, then you lose the game to the Steelers. You get thumped by them both, and then you say, okay, Bengals can just fall in their faces this season. 5-6, let's tank. It's over. The season's over. It doesn't matter. We don't gonna win. And this guy coaches his team up. He gets his team to rise to the occasion. And it just shows every bit in the world that he has the locker room. They believe in him. They believe in his system. They believe everything they possibly can in his team. They believe in themselves. And that is a direct reflection of your coach. They go into that second game starting with Jake Browning. All of a sudden, things turn around. Zach Taylor starts throwing a lot more screens. He's trying to get the quick pass game going. He's trying to make the reads easy for Jake Browning. A lot of stuff that made it easier for Jake Browning. He tried to incorporate a game plan for Jake Browning. He didn't go out there and say, hey, Lamar is down. We're going to draft Tyler. We're going to use Tyler Huntley as our backup so he can do the same thing and run the same system, same schemes, Lamar does, which we've seen. He said, all right, Joe's down. What can we do that's going to make things simpler, simplify it for Jake Brown and make things easier? He's not as good at reading the pass rush. Let's bring another guy in, give him a little extra time. Let's make some quick reads. He may not be able to, again, see the anticipation that plays to develop as quickly. Let's give him time to make some quick reads. Let's get his confidence up. Quick passes, screen passes, get this man's confidence up so he can start slinging it down the field, dropping some dimes in there like he did. Goes back onto the coach, because if you ask him to do too much early, it's very easy to get this guy's confidence up for the rest of the season. But instead, you've seen him game plan properly. You've seen this team believe in him. You've seen them reel off a few wins, and all of a sudden, they head into Kansas City with a chance to make the playoffs. In a season that felt cooked, 5-6, no Joe Burrow. Your secondary, your defense in general is getting hammered with injuries at the time. DJ Reader misses the rest of the season. T. Higgins in and out with injuries consistently. Jamar Chase, these guys dealing with problems. And they found a way to win football games. A lot of credit to Zach Taylor. Whole lot of credit to Zach Taylor. I think this guy's an excellent leader. I think he's one of the best leaders in the league. I mean, you see, that's a perfect example when it comes to being a leader and a head coach. Is how much can you get your team to play? How much can you get them to believe? How much can you get them to play their best ball and play with confidence? Because that's what it is. Play with a lot of confidence, get the momentum, and you can win a lot of football games. When you never feel like you're out of a game, you never feel like you're kind of out there, isn't a diva on the team, getting overly, causing issues, causing problems. The culture is good. A lot of that credit goes to the coaching staff. Not taking a lot of dumb penalties. A lot of that credit goes to the head coach. You got to love what Zach Taylor did in that regard. And then there's, the downsides of Zach Taylor. Every coach is going to have them. Most likely. A couple. It's just how big are they? Are they, game altering or they're career altering, whatever. You look at Zach Taylor, and the biggest thing that will always stick out. Because here's the thing, just touching on one more good thing he did. Look at that game plan against the Chiefs. A lot of people were upset about the second half. They said a terrible second half game plan. First half game plan was great. You couldn't have drawn it up better. You just dominated time of possession. You wanna beat the Kansas City Chiefs? You do as much as you possibly can to chew as much clock up, take as a long drive down the field as possible, because A, you're wearing down Kansas City's defense, so you get late in the game, it's going to make things easier. It's going to make that pass rush a lot more difficult to get to the quarterback because they're going to be worn down in gas. Second of all, Patrick Mahomes ain't got the football. Your defense ain't on the field. Your defense has been struggling. The longer they're not on the field, the more they can be refreshed, the more they can be ready to come up, stand up, play strong late in the game. And we did see that where they forced multiple field. Was it 5 straight at the end of the game? Bend but don't break. They weren't completely guys. They made the stops to keep the Bengals in the game because, again, the earlier game plan that, kept the game script helping the Cincinnati Bengals, minus what the referees wanted to do late in that game. They wasn't thinking the same on the game script. But you look at that was excellent. And now here's the thing. You look what Bieniemy's doing with Washington. You look what he did with Kansas City as an offensive coordinator. Do you, if you as a Chiefs fan, are you calling for Andy Reid's head? Are you calling Andy Reid a horrible play caller? Are you calling Andy Reid a horrible coach for what he did against the Cincinnati Bengals when the Bengals won the first 3 games? Because you know what happened every single game? They dominated the first half, and the second half, Lou Anarumo, an excellent defensive coordinator, made adjustments, and they dang near stifled him the entire second half. That is exactly what happened against the Cincinnati Bengals this week. They went out there with an excellent defensive coordinator. The Bengals made plays. They game planned well to move the football up and down the field. The second half came around, though. There was time for them to make adjustments, and they stifled the Bengals in the second half. That is just sometimes you have to give credit where credit is due and say, hey, Kansas City Chiefs, second-ranked defense in the league this season. Good defense, good coaching. They made the adjustments. They figured out a way to slow the Bengals short game down. It wasn't there, and they didn't have a lot more options. And they didn't move the football down the field. It happens. Sometimes you got to give credit where it's due, I think, there. And, for me, that's why I was like, I didn't really feel like they was lost out there. Sure, there was some thought out drives. Sure, there was, conversions that they can get. The problem with the Bengals is, again, they go for it on 4th and 1, and it's like, hey, you could see at the box that there was just too many guys at the line of scrimmage for the Chiefs, and they walked right through their stuff mixing. It's stuff like that, though. It's like slowing drives down. Should have potentially tried something different there. And again, the Bengals just had a power off and was winning in the trenches in the first place. Maybe you picked that up. But anyway, we go back to the, not to get too caught up on this Chiefs game. It's such a, again, backup quarterback found a way. Higgins missed part of the game with injury. Backup quarterback found a way to be within possession. Found a way to win in Kansas City dang near. Reigning Super Bowl champs found a way almost. You get blown out. You get dismantled. You get a team defense that's not playing well. You got a backup quarterback. By all considerations, a bad coach loses by 30, like late in the season like that. Anyway, going back to, we were concerned or stuck out for Zach Taylor. A lot of it pre-snap. You have who I believe, maybe Aaron Rodgers is above him here. You have who I believe is the smartest quarterback in the league from a football IQ standpoint in Joe Burrow. And you give him time at the line of scrimmage, he will dismantle a defense. I mean, he already does. He picks the matchups apart. But if you just give him some pre-snap motion or pre-snap no huddle ability, the offense just takes another step higher. You have to give this guy as much freedom and as much creativity as possible to do his thing to read a defense, because he's just that sort of mastermind that can do that. And the thing the Bengals do not do, I mean, we've seen a little bit late in the years of play action, but they refuse to do it in games where they have the pre-snap motions back and forth to try to, recognize the coverage better, shake things up. And not only that, but it finds ways to design ways to get some of your playmakers open with that motion around the field. Specifically Jamar Chase. A lot of people said, these good teams are finding ways to create plays that get their, playmakers open, and Bengals are just kind of accepting the fact like, oh, they're going to bracket us, whatever. That is something that can be game planned for, something that can be approved on. And again, the thing I've always loved about the no huddle is like, hey, let Joe Burrow go up there, no huddle, read the defense, change the plays, hurry them up on the field. If the offensive line struggling, play better late in the year. They're struggling, it helps the passer or helps protect against the pass rush because it wears them down quick. But even more importantly, again, you put the keys in Joe Burrow's hands. You walk up there on 1st and 10 and he sees a personnel he likes going up against what they got. They get a big chunk play. You go no huddle. You don't let them substitute. Joe Burrow now has a chance to pick this team apart against a personnel package they feel like they have heavy leverage against. Maybe it's against the run, maybe it's against the pass. If you incorporate that into the game plan. And again, you got to use that mastermind. You got to use that freaking genius ability of Joe Burrow to say, hey, this is a guy, you got to trust him. And when he sees something like that, just like he has in the past, you let him keep going out there and run the same plays against that personnel, because if they know it's going to work, you keep going. Don't give him a chance. So for me, I don't understand why we didn't see any of that even attempted by the Bengals. That's a big L to me. Ultimately, when I look at Zach Taylor, and I think a lot of fans will agree, is that he's a head coach. He's not an offensive coordinator. I mean, as a head coach, you can incorporate the game plan. You can help this team. You're the leader, and he's an excellent head coach. But his flaws all lie in him trying to call plays and create plays as an offensive coordinator. And that's tough as a coach to be doing both. Something you got to be willing to hand the keys over, I think, to somebody else. The other thing was, speaking of the playmakers, I don't see a reason. What I find is inexcusable is why Chase Brown wasn't getting more touches. Why was Chase Brown not getting more opportunities to get dump offs in the backfield? Why was Charlie Jones not getting more touches? These are your big playmakers. Charlie Jones was lethal in the kick return game in college football. That's his specialty. And knowing that, that's the kind of guy you want to draw plays up for in the offensive game plan. That's the guy you want to be throwing the screen passes, dude. That's the guy you want to get them quick dump offs. There's something that gets him into open space on the sidelines, because there's nobody else better on the team at that, in open space trying to get through tackles. That's why he did what he did in college. Chase Brown, one of the fastest guys in the league. If you get him in open space, if you give him touches, he's got that big play, that explosive ability. That Chiefs game, it was Chase Brown had 15 snaps, Henderson had 14. How did that happen? How did he end up splitting snaps with Travion Henderson? That was interesting to me. Because I do think the vision, I think at this point, we have to accept the fact that Chase Brown's got so much more upside than Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was excellent in his day, but he's getting older. He's not an average to above average starting running back anymore. That's okay. But Chase Brown, we've seen him make some reads, see the holes. You got to give this guy more and more opportunities throughout the season. Maybe it was because it was the big spotlight. See, that's what was weird. So maybe it's the big spotlight and he was worried about him making a mistake or whatever. But Trey Henderson ain't been there. So, I don't know. I don't know where the logic was on that one. And ultimately, if I say let's give Zach Taylor a grade on the season, I mean, as a head coach with head coaching responsibilities, he gets an A. But the thing is, he doesn't want to just be a head coach. He wants to be an offensive coordinator too. And as an offensive coordinator, I think he gets a C. I think he gets a B-. And I think from that regards, man, it's hard to say that. It's kind of hard to say that after you've seen what Jake Browning did. I take it back. I give him closer to a B or B-. But I look at him overall as a coach and what he's done for this team this season. I still think I have a really hard time picking a letter. We should do something else. I was gonna say I'm gonna give him a B, but I was like, is that good enough? I think a B is reasonable for a coach. I think he says B+ as well. It depends how much weight you put on the offensive play calling side. But I'm really happy with where Zach Taylor is right now. That's it. If you go out there and give this guy an actual offensive coordinator, you hand the play calls over. I think he's an excellent coach. We'll see. Love y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.